Every binge and every restriction starts with the same exact lie, which is food can only heal what God actually can heal. Because food is never going to actually heal that void, that pain, and that hurt that you're going through. Deep down, it's never been about the food. It's the fact that you've left several wounds unaddressed and you've used food as a coping mechanism to avoid and distract yourself from what's actually going on. That's why no amount of dieting, no carnivore, no keto, no fasting, not even macro tracking can actually heal this unless you actually start looking inward and go to God. Because now you're numbing with the very thing that God created to serve us, which is food. But now it's controlling you instead. And that control just continues to show up, and food continues to become your refuge instead of going to God and actually going inward. And the scary part is the enemy, the devil, loves to hear the fact that you're using gluttony as a source of coping mechanism and continuing to fall into the lie that is holding you captive from actually seeing the better version of yourself, because you're never going to lose the weight if you don't actually heal your relationship with food. And that starts with looking at the pain, the things that you're avoiding and distracting yourself with. And that's what this call is for. We're going to talk about not just nutrition, because every YouTube influencer and TikTok influencer and YouTube channel is going to talk about nutrition, your proteins, your calories, how to eat carbs at night. We're not talking about that. So if that's what you're looking for, this is not the video for you. We're going to talk about deliverance from the very thing that is holding you back from actually achieving your goals, the weight loss goals, the building your muscle, the actually healing your relationship with food and your gut health and everything in between. So we're going to deliver you from that in this video, and I'll pray for you as you continue to watch this video. So go get your coffee, because this is going to be a really deep call. Welcome to the group call, everyone. So we're going to be talking about relationship with food. I called it the unseen drug, coping to thriving with food. Very simple, but also very, there's a lot of depth to this. So if you have any questions with anything, or if you want me to stop anywhere, you can come off mute, or you can ask questions in the chat. I'll pop the chat here so that everyone knows where it's at. This is the chat. So you guys can ask questions and stuff like that in there. Yeah, let's get into it. Let me put it on slideshow mode. Cool. All right. So first slide, where are you right now? So we're going to get into healing your relationship with food and stuff like that. So healing that relationship and learning to see food as God intended. So God intended for us to have a solid relationship with food, to see it as sustenance, to see it as to feed the spirit, right? So it was a gift from God that sustains, not something that enslaves you into a cycle of shame, guilt, or disconnection from your body, right? So you have to understand food is a lot more than just calories. It's a lot more than macros. That's why we do everything in the check-in when I ask you all those questions. It's connection, it's comfort, it's culture, it's love. It's a lot of different things. It depends on what you assign it. But it's one of the first forms of love that we have ever received, right? It's one of the things that can bring us a lot of nostalgia. It depends on the type of food and who you're experiencing the food with and where and so on. Like I had something earlier this week and I was like, oh, this is how grandma makes it. And I'm like, oh, and then it brought a lot of nostalgia and it brought a lot of love. So, but that love can also be abused, which is what we'll get into anyway. I'm going to get ahead of myself. But when that love becomes distorted, so does our relationship with food. So we stop eating to nourish in that case, and we start eating to numb, to cope, to feel happy, quote unquote, and avoid and distract ourselves from the real problem, right? It's just a Band-Aid. It becomes from comfort, love, culture, all the way to the spectrum of numbing and coping and avoiding. So the unseen drug is not food itself, but why we use it to escape from what we're avoiding. So you can already see this is going to get deep. So purpose to gluttony. So
we're going to go back into scripture. I mentioned there's going to be a good amount of scripture in here, so be prepared. In Genesis, right, God provided a seed-bearing plant, which is the apple, and fruit for nourishment, right, up until sin entered the world. But anyway, food was meant to serve creation, us. It was meant to serve us, not control us. Same thing with anything. This can go for anything outside of food too. You can really go deep with this, but food is meant to serve us, not control us. It is meant to energize and sustain life, but we take food for granted and we lose gratitude for it, right? That food you have in your fridge, the food that you're able to put on your tables every morning, the food that you get to have on the weekends, or the food that you think is going to make you happy, the food that you take for granted every single day is the thing that's controlling you. So we go from gratitude to gluttony because of it. And then you wonder why, welcome Jordan, and then you wonder why food becomes a coping mechanism that you need to sustain yourself to be a high level operating human. So when you go from gratitude to gluttony, to abusing food, to using it as an avoidance tool, it becomes something that you're not necessarily using to sustain yourself, but now you're using it as a band-aid to cover up all the other things that you're avoiding in life. So, and in Corinthians, from the Bible, Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31, it says, whatever you eat or drink, do it all for the glory of God. And this is what prompted me to not do this entire slide deck, but I used to be really, really bad about praying before I eat. And I've been doing it every day this week and last week. So that's a huge win for me. And I even got Panya to start praying for me. I pray with her. So anyway, yeah. And then just not only being grateful for the food, but putting yourself in a place to let it energize you and actually fuel you and not use it for, not take it for granted, you know? So that's purpose to gluttony. So like we said, there's a root cause that's causing all these problems that you're avoiding. Most eating struggles do not start in the stomach. They start in the soul and in the mind, right? That's pretty fair to say. And then begin with unhealed pain, unmet needs, guilt, shame, fear, trauma, whatever you want to call it. I know someone in this community, they talked to me earlier about their relationship with food, and they were saying like, well, I noticed this, and this is why I do this with food. I'm like, that's really good awareness. Because when you have those unhealed parts of you that you don't really give any attention to, again, we're going back into avoidance with food. So food becomes a way to feel something when we feel empty, or nothing when we feel too much. Does that make sense? I'll say it again. Food becomes a way to feel something when we feel empty, or nothing, or feel nothing when we feel too much, right? It's an avoidance tool. It's a coping mechanism. It's a way to put a band-aid over things. So what happens is it becomes a way for us to control when everything else feels chaotic and nothing makes sense, right? And I this is so true, and I can say this coming from when I was in bodybuilding prep, for example, right? Everything was chaotic, nothing made sense. I wasn't in control of anything, right? And I wasn't saved yet. I wasn't a follower of God yet. Maybe a little bit, but not really. And food was the only thing that I could control. I was zeroing out my macros every single day, doing every single thing down the checklist, and just making sure I did everything, because it was the only form of control that I had. Everything else, business-wise, life-wise, was melting. Does that make sense? And on the opposite side of things, it can be a way for us to control things in an unhealthy way, right? There's healthy ways to control, and there's unhealthy ways to control. Obviously, there's a greater or a better evil, I guess you could say, but there's still both ways of control. So to heal, we must stop treating the symptoms and actually start healing. Very simple, easier said than done. But if you're treating the symptoms, it's like, let me just slap a meal plan and some macros over this and see if it works. That's not healing your relationship with food. That's why when I look at your guys' food, or I give you guys suggestions, or I help you understand how your patterns work, or maybe you understand more awareness around how your patterns work, That's what we're going to talk about later in the slide deck, but that's awareness, and then we move through that first, and that's the first step of healing. So my point is, you're trying to fix the issue with the same mindset that caused the issue in the first place, right? Which is trying to fix the symptom, not the actual root cause, which is in the mind and in the soul, because that's where it starts. So we're going to go into coping and shame. These aren't, every slide, just so you know, isn't always like, some of them transition into each other and some of them are just on their own, because there's a lot of parts to having a good relationship with food. So I'm just kind of like taking a very general outlook on everything and trying to hit everything on the head, and then seeing what you guys want to talk about in the future. So that's just so you guys know. Coping and shame. We often turn to food for the same reasons others turn to alcohol, drugs, or any form of cheap dopamine. Sex, doom scrolling, sugar, whatever you want to put there, caffeine abuse, whatever. I'll take the blame on that one. We turn to food for that same reason, right? So fair to say, it soothes us for a moment and then it punishes us after, because it's going to get you to do whatever you need to do, or it maybe brings you temporary happiness, but it punishes you after. And then overeating, undereating, or obsessing over control are all symptoms of fear, right? There's a fear of losing control. There's a fear of not being the person that actually decides how this is going to turn out. The person that decides what's going in your mouth, what's going out of your mouth, or you're trying to control. Like I said earlier, if there's chaos in your life and that's what your norm is, with work, with relationships, with life, finances, whatever, sometimes food is overeating, undereating is one of those things you can control. Especially when it comes to eating disorders. So, and then when you feel the fear, you fear feeling. Does that make sense? It's a weird paradoxical loop, I guess I could say. When you fear the feeling, you fear lack and you fear losing control. So therefore, you try not to feel at all, or you try not to lose control at all, because the fear is so intense that if it overcomes you, you go back into your cycle. Does that make sense? So, but you have to understand, food was never meant to silence emotions or be used for gluttony. Like we said in Genesis earlier, food was meant to sustain the soul, not to control us. It was given to serve creation, not control us. Food is meant to support the vessel, us, right? Our bodies, that houses your spirit. When you ignore the spirit and the healing the spirit requires, you feed the shame. Let me read that again. I should have underlined that one. When you ignore the spirit, what your spirit needs, what your body needs, and you ignore the healing that the spirit requires, you feed the shame, right? That's avoidance. That's avoidance, that's distraction, that's whatever you want to call it. That's anxiety, that's feeding that cycle. And this is a big one. Shame and grace cannot coexist. You cannot feel shameful about certain parts of yourself or relationship with food or whatever and be graceful about it. There's a duality to it, but full grace and full shame they cannot coexist in each other, right? When you realize that, the healing can begin, and you will stop learning to punish yourself in your relationship with food, right? You either have grace for yourself at all times when you're feeling like you overate, for example. You're like, oh, okay, that happened. Cool, let's move on. Or you're going to go into the shame cycle. Even if there's a spectrum, obviously, there's little t, there's little s shame, lowercase shame, and then uppercase shame. There's a huge spectrum. Hi, Rocio, good timing. And when you experience the full thing, when you experience full grace and all of grace, when you're experiencing a good relationship with food, that will help you understand how to heal through that. Does that make sense? You'll stop learning how to punish yourself when you're going through that. So Does anyone have any questions so far? Again, use the chat if you have any questions in the middle of it, or you're like, if you completely disagree with something, please let me know. I love a good I guess view on things. So let's go to awareness to your body. The first step of healing starts with awareness, not restriction, right? Like I said, you have to be aware of your cycles. We're not going into restriction. That's why when you guys come into the program, I just want to see what you're doing. I don't want you to continue. We're not going to go into a cut. We're not going to go into a maintenance or a bulk or anything. I'm not going to do anything for you. I just want to see what you're doing. I'm going to meet you where you're at. Otherwise, none of what we do is going to actually work. That's why we just bring awareness to your cycles. So, but understand you cannot heal what you refuse to look at, right? If you hide certain foods or you hide cycles or you hide whatever, if you don't track certain foods and you leave me in the dark, how am I going to help? How are you going to heal? How are you going to actually work through it? By staying in the same mindset that you started that caused the problem in the first place? The fuck? You have to understand. That's why I ask you guys to full transparency for food. Like if you want to heal your relationship with food, take a week or two, fully track, let me see it. I'm the only person that's going to see it, you and I. And if there's shame there, that's awareness. Let's see what we can work through. Why is that causing you shame? Why aren't you giving yourself grace? Why are you letting this control you? Does that make sense? So if you refuse to look at it, it's the same thing with anything else too. We're just talking about relationship with food here though. Restriction without healing leads to more of the same. Shame, guilt, fear, lack, and control, quote unquote, or your locus of control. And if you pay attention to the emotions behind your cravings, not just the calories, and you can ask yourself, what is this hunger trying to tell me? Right? You have to really pay attention to your hunger cues. I tell everyone, follow your hunger cues for certain phases of programming, right? Just follow your hunger cues. What is this hunger trying to tell me? Are you stressed? Did you touch grass today? Did you move your body? Did you regulate your nervous system in some way? Are you emotionally triggered by something? Do you just need some water, fruit, salt, protein? Do you need a hug? Do you need to pray harder before and after your meals? What do you need to do? What is this hunger trying to tell you? Right? What do you need to do? And can you do it? Is it realistic? And if not, what can you do in substitution? There's a lot of awareness that you need to bring to your body and to your mind and to your spirit in order for you to start healing. Because again, the biggest thing here is you cannot heal what you refuse to look at or what you distract yourself from. So that's the big one with awareness to your body. Oh, I capitalized this. You guys can take a screenshot of this because this is actually good. What or who do you need in this hunger? That's the question you can journal on at the end of this. So take a screenshot if you want. I'll let y'all take a 5-second screenshot. Okay, let's move on. Metabolic stress. So now let's kind of move towards like a little bit more sciencey / not so sciencey stuff. Your body was designed to protect you, right? Not to punish you, right? That's evolution, correct? Cool. When you diet, however, excessively or for a long time, your body slows your metabolism down, right? That's just its way of preserving. So when you binge or when you restrict, it's often your nervous system is begging for safety and nourishment. Does that make sense? Because safety, so let me put it this way. Your body is never meant to diet. Your body is never meant to be in a surplus for too long, right? Your body wants to be somewhere in the middle. Your body wants to find homeostasis, right? Where you weigh about the same, not overweight, but like at a healthy weight for your height and age and so on. And your body wants to stay there, ideally. And that's its safety zone. Whenever it comes out of that, it begs to go back, no matter what. So whenever you diet excessively or you binge excessively, it's because you're swinging, the pendulum is swinging too hard, right? It's swinging excessively on both ends. You need to swing it right here in the middle. It just needs to be a small swing right here in this zone, which is what I teach you guys. So just a small swing in the middle, a zone. You don't have to be perfect. It's in the zone. AutoZone. I'm just kidding. Your nervous system is deeply tied to your relationship with food, though. Okay, that's a big one. When you live in constant stress or anxiety, your digestion slows and your hunger cues become unreliable, right? This is why it's important to regulate. I tell you guys, if you don't have a form of regulation for your stress or for your anxiety or your depression or whatever you're going through, or just talking to someone like me or your best friend or God, what's going to happen is your nervous system's going to tank, right? There's a couple of you in here that we've been through cuts and we've had to like pull out maybe for a week or two just to make sure you give your body what it needs and your mind what it needs, so that way we can reset. Because yeah, will there be a recording? I feel like you missed something in the beginning. Yeah, there'll be a recording. I'll post it in the private YouTube. Yeah. I need to post the other ones, but yes, you missed like 2 slides. So my point is, when you're in constant stress, your nervous system's stressed, so therefore you're technically in sympathetic mode, which is a fancy word for saying your body can't digest when you're in survival mode, fight or flight mode, right? Your body cannot digest. It's going to focus on surviving. So there's rest and digest, which is parasympathetic, and then stressed and dusted, I like to call it, or you can call it flight or fight, whatever, which is sympathetic nervous system. There's 2 nervous system states. You can be a little bit of both most days. Most people are both most days. If I'm being real, you can't always be sympathetic or parasympathetic. I mean, there's a lot of chronic stressors for sure. I would argue there's a lot more people that are in sympathetic and stressed out all the time than the rest and digest mode. So, but my point is, this is why peace and regulation and having a healthy relationship with food and being aware of all these things that are going on mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, this is why peace is part of nutrition. Because your macros are not going to save you. Meal plans are not going to save you. None of that's going to save you if you don't heal and actually look at what you're avoiding. So here's our journal question that you guys can take a screenshot of. What is one thing I can do, you that are watching this, what is one thing I can do this week to help put my body in a better place to rest and digest after meals? Take a screenshot. Ask yourself, what is one thing? Just do one thing. That's all it is. One thing. And if you want to do a Google search on, things that help put your body in rest and digest mode, go for it. And then choose one thing. Take a screenshot. I'll take a sip of my matcha. Okay. Now let's go into metabolism and hunger. Learning to give the body what it needs and having structure eliminates the need for emotional eating, right? So, like I said earlier, there's 2 sides to this. I did say macros are not going to save you and meal plans are not going to save you. That's partially true. But that's the structure part. Now, there's the holistic side of things, is giving your body what it needs. We asked you earlier, does your body need to touch grass? Do you need some sunlight? Do you need to pray? Do you need rest? Do you need XYZ? Do you need water, sodium, fruit? Do you need any of those other things? Do you need to just talk to someone? Your body is more than just digestion and, nerves. It's a lot of different moving parts. But like I said, just focus on one thing that your body needs this week. So that way you can give yourself some structure to rest and digest. Okay. So macros, this is going to be a little bit controversial because I do macros myself, right? Macros is not really as helpful as you think. Here's why. Because it's another form of control. I have a huge problem with that. I'm the first one to admit it. I've been tracking forever, and I can use my eyeball really well. I do the same trick that I'm about to share with you guys here. I do it often where I intuitively guesstimate certain foods, and I'm pretty on point most of the time. I would say 80, 90% of the time, which is great. But it's another form of control nonetheless, just because it's habit that I've built. If I lose it, then I lose a part of my identity, and that's another topic we can talk about. My point is, it's another form of control. So although it's a good control, that's not led by emotions, shame, or guilt or fear, it's still a form of control. But we have to understand macros are not meant to be forever. Macros are not meant to be forever. They are a season of your life. They are a portion of you building, you building a good relationship with food and understanding awareness and understanding how to work through certain phases of dieting and etc., right, with training. But they're not forever. True freedom with food is when your body responds so well to macros that intuitive eating feels like cake, right? I've taken a couple of you through intuitive eating cycles. I've taken myself through intuitive eating cycles, but then I eventually jump back to macros just because I need a little bit of structure in my day. But my point is, you can even test yourself. I usually give some structure around this for some people around free meals, for example. Some people, they go into a deficit and I give you a free meal or 2 free meals on the weekend and you have fun with it and you don't gain any weight. Why? Because you're already really responsible with your food, your digestion, you know what your body needs. And that's when I give that to you. If you still have an unhealthy relationship with food, I'm not gonna do free meals. Why would I do that? I'm not gonna just support something that's gonna cause a potential ED. I don't want to do that. So my point is, intuitive eating is going to be a phase that I take a lot of you through that haven't been through it to make sure you understand true freedom, and macros are not going to be forever. So here's what you can do. Here's the trick that I was talking about. Write this down or take a screenshot after I'm done. Take your plate, if you're tracking macros, take your plate bowl and then put it on the scale. Zero it out. And then you take it off the scale. Okay. And then put your protein, carb, fat, put whatever ingredient in the bowl or the plate. And then you're going to take your best guess at what that portion is, right? Your plate is off the scale. I think that looks like 4 ounces of chicken, 4.5, 4.2. Throw a random number out, whatever you think. You've been tracking. If you've been tracking long enough, you should get it right, hopefully, or get pretty close. If you do this every meal, you will see how close you are with your intuition and the true weight. I do this all the time. That's why I'm so good at, like, the people that take pictures and they track their food. I can guesstimate all your food by eyeball. I'm really good at it, especially with tacos, because I have tacos every day. So I know what portion sizes look like. I had tacos this weekend. I guesstimated all. They were all right. So do that. Take a screenshot. That should help you this week, at least with starting or just getting to know your intuitive cycles, your intuitive hunger cues. So take a screenshot of that. And then, yeah, I didn't ask any questions in this whole, it's just me talking. That's funny. Okay. That should have shown later, but whatever. We're going to talk about perfectionism, which is an illusion. Perfectionism disguises itself as discipline, but it is actually fear of rejection. Isn't that funny? I wrote that and I was like, damn, it's pretty good. Perfectionism disguises itself as discipline, but it is actually fear of rejection. You believe that if you eat perfectly and you'll look perfect and perform perfectly, and that you will finally be enough, and therefore you can't be rejected. Whether it's you rejecting yourself or someone else, it's a fear of rejection. So God already called you to be enough before you lifted a single weight or logged a single meal. That's nuts, isn't it? God already called you to be enough as you are right now, before you did any of this, before you even joined this program, before you started your fitness journey, before you did anything, you were enough. So in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, we are his workmanship, created in Jesus Christ to do good works. So we are his workmanship, right? That means that we are created under his, vision, his light, his creation, right? And God created food to serve us. God created other things to serve us, not to control us, for us to be perfect in them, because we're not. We're in a imperfect and broken world, and that's okay. You're never going to achieve perfection because it's literally impossible. When I think about perfection, I don't know how sciencey you guys are, but or if you guys know my background, but I used to be an engineer, so I always think about like the speed of light. And the speed of light is something that is literally impossible to obtain, right? You could take the fastest, I guess, vehicle that could ever travel. It could never reach the speed of light, ever. But the speed of light is like the epitome of quote unquote perfection, or the highest speed ever. I think about perfectionism like that. Like, we're never going to get there. You can get 99.99% of there, but you're not going to be there. And that's okay. So there is no perfect meal plan. There's no perfect diet plan. There's no perfect macros. And there's no perfect strategy. There's nothing. Nothing is perfect, because you will always be off. Even the macros you track are an illusion. This is why I put a picture here. Because did you know the FDA, the federal, is it the federal drug, is it the FDA? The health organization, I forget what, I'm pretty sure it's the FDA. They're allowed to be 20% off on all nutrition labels. So I showed you a picture. You can look at all the net carbs are 5 grams on all your freaking protein bars and stuff like that. And they're like labeled as 50 calories, all wrong. So if we do the math, this isn't actually 120 calories. This is actually 145. I did the math for you guys. So we know that the total fat is 5 grams here. The carbs are 4 grams and the protein is 21. You can throw that into any calculator, or you can do the math yourself, but fat has 9 calories, carbs have 4 calories, protein has 4 calories for every gram. So you just multiply 5 times 9, 4 times 4, 21 times 4. And then you get all these calories, and then you add them. But the macros or the trackers do it for you, so you don't have to do that. So again, even the things that we do, it's not perfect. You can get as close as you can, but it's not going to be perfect. So it's an illusion. So stop being hard on yourself when you're not. Right? That's why when you track your food, or at least in the program, I look at that chart that says there's a 10% variance, and I give you guys some room to fuck up a little bit. I give you guys that room. I give myself that room because I zoom out. I don't care what happens on one day within your one meal. Because if you have 3 meals a day, that's 21 meals a week. And you're trying to, I guess, overanalyze one meal out of 21 meals, where the other 21 were pretty solid, but you're like, oh, shit, I fucked up on this one meal. I wasn't perfect. I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. And then I'm going to go into the shame cycle. Bah. Remember, God called you to be enough before you ever track that meal. So that's that. Now we're going to talk about emotional eating versus a real relationship with food. Emotional eating feeds the body, but starves the spirit and reinforces the cycle you're in, right? That's what we've been talking about this entire time. So this is what you're going to ask yourself. You can journal on this. Does this meal serve my emotions, my goals, or my spirit? Or maybe all of it, but I would argue it's going to be one of the three. Because if it doesn't serve your goals or your spirit, you're going to basically stay in the same cycle. And this meal will just, quote unquote, fix my feelings and help me numb or avoid, distract. Because when dopamine spikes, or insulin, which is the science term, but we can call it dopamine because that's what you immediately feel from sugar and salts or processed food, it teaches your body to seek more of that numbing reward again, right? Pavlov's dog, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that's a good analogy, right? So you're teaching your body a reward system that is just full of cheap dopamine. So therefore, well, not therefore, but healing this type of relationship with food means rewiring your reward system through habits of peace, gratitude, and balance, which is what we practice when we first start tracking food, when we first start understanding a good relationship with food and understanding how I can continue helping you. So in Galatians chapter 5, verse 16, walk by the Spirit and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. Right? We're going to get deeper into this because I love this. I love this so much. So if you walk by the Spirit, you're walking in line with how God created you. You're walking in line with how you're meant to yeah, imperfect human. But you won't gratify any desires of the flesh. You will have authority over your flesh. You will have control over it. Not in a way that's overbearing, but in a way that's going to help you heal. So here's a screenshot you can take. You can do one of these before eating just to help you work on your relationship with food. Pray before every meal for how you will receive it into your body. You can also pray for other things while you're doing that. That's if you want to pray. You can also take a deep breath, hold it for 8 seconds, release, and then hold for 8 while you're released, like while you're on empty, right? And you can do that 3 or 4 times. So it's basically a box breath. Or you can literally just go touch some freaking grass, go on a quick stroll before eating and after eating. One of my, I was on a call with someone else, a client, and she was like, yeah, I'm going to go take a fart walk. I'm like, I've never heard it called that. I usually call them post-digestion walks because it's a lot more, it just makes sense. I was like, you're going to go on a fart walk? That's so funny. So you can go on your fart walk after you're eating. So to release some gas if you want, because you're human. So do one of those if you want. Take a screenshot. It should help. Let me know if it does. So we're going to talk about the gut-brain axis. I'm going in between spirituality and science. I don't know if you see that. So the gut-brain axis. Your gut and your brain communicate constantly through the vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is a very huge central nervous system, I guess, hub that helps regulate a lot of other areas of your central nervous system. Central nervous system. I could show you a screenshot, but I forgot to put it here. Anyway, when your gut is inflamed, your mind is anxious, right? When your gut is inflamed from processed foods, sugar, sodium, hella water, blah, 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 your mind is anxious. There's a connection, right? When your mind is anxious, your digestion shuts down. Because what? Anxiety is parasympathetic. Cool. Fight or flight. We don't want to be there. So what do we understand from this? Healing one heals the other. So if you heal one thing, it's going to heal the other, right? Instead of, I mean, you can heal the mind, absolutely, but that takes time. You eat every day. Start with your relationship with food, and then that will allow you to open up space to start healing your mind and your soul. So you must feed your body whole foods, and you must feed your mind and spirit truth. So when I say this is like, you can feed your body whole foods and your mind might not be in a good place. So that's when you start feeding it spirit and truth, or sorry, feeding your mind and spirit truth. When I say truth, I mean, I'll explain that in a little bit. Let me say, this will help you learn to rely on healthy habits. Before you eat, after you eat, during your eating, it's all routine. So before you eat, you can pray, breathe, walk, or during your eating. Meditation music, frequency music. I play like work music, which is just lyricless music. Gratitudes, I do this for sure. Little to no doom scrolling. That one's a big one because most people are on their phones while they're eating. And actually pay attention to your chewing. Most of y'all just swallow your rice and your chicken, and then you wonder why there's indigestion. After eating, you can go on a walk again. Water, salt, fruit, work. So what I'm trying to say here is if you're always in go, go, go mode, then this is supposed to say sit, not sought. Then sit the fuck down to eat your food in a calm manner, or you won't be present. And then you're going to inhale your food without chewing, and then your digestion is going to be fucked. Don't do that. So if you're always in fight or flight, parasympathetic mode, you don't want to, it's a sympathetic mode. Sorry, sympathetic. You don't want to do that. Sometimes I flip them. My bad. So I'll talk about the feeding your mind, spirit, and truth in a little bit. That one's important to talk on. But the gut-brain axis, we can do a whole group call on this because it's really important that I bring that up. So let's talk about the mirror of food. This is, we're getting into the depths, huh? Every meal reflects your relationship with yourself. Think about that. If you rush while you eat, it shows impatience. If you restrict, it shows control or lack of, because, yeah. And if you binge, it shows avoidance. You're avoiding something that you're refusing to look at. So your habits with food reveal where you still seek to heal in your life. You already got it. Like you can already see what you're avoiding just by the way that you eat, what you eat, how much you eat, all that stuff. You don't even need to look like, oh, what do I need to heal on? It's right there. The goal is not to change the food first, but renew the mind that chooses it. I always say this. This is huge. You're not fat because of the food choices, or you're not overweight, or you're not unhealthy because of the food choices. You're overweight because of the choices that you make at the grocery store. That's where you fucked up first. No one put it into your pantry. No one put it into your fridge. No one put it into your mouth. No one made you drive by made you drive by the drive-through. Drive through the drive-through. There we go. You have to renew that part. There's a transition. Does that make sense? There's another scripture that I could put in here that I forgot to put in here that I'm thinking of now. But my point is, you have to renew your mind and also your gut. There's the gut-brain axis. And both of those things show you a mirror to what you're actually avoiding. Crazy how that works, huh? This is not the scripture that I was thinking about that I was just saying, but this one works as well because I wrote it down. So Romans 12, chapter 12, verse 2. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So renewal happens through the repetition of good habits and practices. Not necessarily, oh, I'm going to do this once and be renewed. No. You need to compound that shit. Compound it. Renew your thoughts daily by reminding yourself that your worth is not measured by the macros, but by the meaning you assign to the food and your outlook on it. Woo! Take a screenshot of that. That one's good. I was in it when I was writing. I'll read it again. Renewing your thoughts daily by reminding yourself that your worth is not measured by macros or by the scale or by how much you bench or about how much or how your body fat or XYZ, whatever number you want to assign, but by the meaning you assign to the food and your outlook on it. So here's a journal question you can take a screenshot of. Does it control you today? Or do you control the flesh? Do you fuel or do you suppress and avoid? Can you slow down if you need to? Take a screenshot of that. This one's a really good thing. I love talking about mirrors. We've talked about this in the past. Yeah. So I'm going to continue now. If you guys take a screenshot. Community. Wow, look at that. All of you are here for community, right? We've talked about this before in previous group calls. You might not remember, but I'm going to ask all of you to type it in the chat, okay? Isolation leads to what? If you guys know it, please drop it in the chat, or you just say you don't know. IDK, whatever. But try and think really hard. Isolation leads to what? Randy, were you going to say something?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
I'm on my phone, and so I can't
Oh, got it.
text. It looks like, okay.
Just put in the group chat. Here, in the group chat. In the group chat. There we go. You guys see it? If you guys see it, type IDK, or if you know the answer, just take a wild guess. Isolation leads to what? I know most of you know it. Those that have been here for a minute know it. I feel like y'all haven't know it. It starts with an S. Okay, fuck it. Isolation leads to separation. And separation leads to Wait, I fucked that up. I'm so sorry. I put isolation leads to separation, and then separation leads to isolation. I think this was supposed to be solitude in the beginning. So solitude leads to separation, and separation leads to isolation. So there we go. And then isolation is business. So my point is, isolation is business. When we can do a whole different group call on this. Business, processed food businesses, and businesses like, that rely on having an unhealthy relationship with food, like, the healthcare system where they give you diabetic medicine and all this stuff. That's all business, right? They prowl on you having an unhealthy relationship with food, so you go back. Because everything that you supplement with or take medication for, blah, 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 90% of it can be healed with food if you actually work on that part of yourself. So when you isolate and you think that you're the only one going through that, that's where you're like, okay, I guess I'm going to look for an answer outside of myself. So without community or guidance, you stay in the same cycle over and over again. And now that'll eventually lead to burnout. And then you understand what you feel isn't uncommon. I describe most of y'all because I've been through this shit too. And so as your family, your friends, your spouse, your partner, blah, blah, blah. Everyone here has gone through everything that I've talked about. Guaranteed. If you haven't, you can comment, I haven't. And you're an anomaly, you're a unicorn. So, but when you're vulnerable, you become aware. And when you're aware, you at least have an understanding of your cycle and you can ask for help. So here's a journal question. Take a screenshot. There's a lot of journals today, huh? What's one thing you need from a person close to you so you can heal your relationship with food? This one's huge because I learned my relationship with food from my mom, but she wasn't there when I was healing my relationship with food. I had to work through that shit myself, but I did have a talk with her about a year and a half ago about my relationship with food. And she's like, oh, is that what I did? And I'm like, Mom, you didn't know. You were doing your best with what you had and what you knew. You were just being a good mom. But at some point, it still creates your identity of who you are right now and how you've molded your relationship with food. Because like I said in the beginning of this call, culture, love, comfort, all that stuff, whatever you assign to the food, that's how much power it has over you. So the people that are around you right now, your spouse, your partner, friends, blah, 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 what's one thing they can keep you accountable on so you can heal? And if they're not going to hold you accountable, then do you need them? That's a deeper conversation we can have later. So yeah. Or can you create boundaries at least, to like say no and just fuck off? Like you can have friends that drink, but if they force you to drink or you're like tempted all the time, then those aren't good friends. So anyway, let's continue because we're getting close on time. Detachment and discipline. I think there's two more slides. Detachment, we've talked about this in depth and I love this topic too. Detachment means you can enjoy foods without obsession. Fuel for the spirit to work and feeling aligned with your purpose. So discipline means that you can choose alignment over impulse, right? Over emotion, over triggers, over XYZ. When you combine detachment with discipline, you get a recipe for beautiful success and you feel free. You feel free from numbing and chasing cheap dopamine. Detachment and discipline, the two double Ds. That's funny. We won't use that term. Don't coin that term. But remember, you have full authority over your flesh. You have full authority over your flesh, your impulses, your emotions, your thoughts, all those things. You have full authority. But you have to take the actions and use the tools that I hopefully teach you or that you learn at some point to regulate at least and learn how to heal your relationship with food. But there's a story that you play in your head that's causing you to reenact the same story over and over again. And this is why maybe you don't have authority right now, or you feel like you don't have authority. And this story creates a personal attachment which is the opposite of detachment. The story creates a personal attachment, which creates blank around your relationship with food. You should know this one, hopefully. Put it in the chat, please. This is like the last one. The last question I'll ask you guys. A story creates a personal attachment, which creates blank around your relationship with food. It starts with an I. I said it earlier. It's my favorite word that we talk about. I'll wait. I know most of y'all know it. I feel like I need to teach you guys this stuff. It starts with an I, just an I. There we go, Stefan. Beautiful, brother. Identity. You know it. He's been here. He pays attention. Thank you, brother. Correct. Identity. There you go. Look at that. So here's your journal. Good shit, Stefan. Here's a journal that can help you with identity. What's a vivid memory? Take a screenshot. What's a vivid memory of how your relationship with food began? This can relate to the other question of who you need to help you heal. Who does it come from? Is it a generational curse? Can you forgive yourself for adopting it and renew your mind and your body into a healthier version? Take a screenshot. It's a good, deep journal question for sure. And for those of you that are not taking screenshots, I'm going to post it in the homework tab in Discord. So you have it. Yeah, let's move on. Redemption. Beautiful timing. We'll end with this. You're all here to build a better, renewed, wholesome relationship with food, right? That's why we came to this call. But you must understand, your relationship with food has nothing to do with you. Weird that I say that, right? Because I said identity. It has everything to do with the amount of strength you give it, the identity you assign it, which has nothing to do with you. Your identity is not even you. It's just something that you created. It's not you though. It's like, it's not you. We can go in a whole different topic on this because I love talking about identities, because I've had to shed so many different identities and have a fuck ton of ego deaths. But like I said earlier, it's the amount of strength that you give that story that gives authority in your life, which creates identity, right? So I'll say this, and this is going to hit hard. We know the devil is real. If you don't believe in the devil, I hope you're saved at some point. I'll pray for you. We know the devil is real. There's a real enemy out there, right? But he has no authority because I've surrendered my life to a greater being, Jesus, right? So by the same token, we know your story and we know that your story and your unhealthy habits, or my story and my unhealthy habits, whoever, I'm not pointing fingers, just a story that you play, that's real, right? That's valid. Same thing as the devil. But that story has no authority when you choose to step into healing and surrender. Does that make sense? Isn't that a crazy analogy? I made that and I was like, damn. So obviously they're completely different things, but I'm trying to use the comparison to help you understand. Like I said earlier, grace and shame cannot coexist. Same thing if you give your life to Jesus, or if you're a follower. In that same token, once you've given your life to God, you repent and you give your heart and you're surrendered, hopefully, and you're saved. But not everyone that's a follower is saved. That's my point. Is there's several layers to this. There's onion. We're a big ass onion, and there's several layers to healing and surrender. And the first step that you can take is understanding that your relationship with food is sacred. Your body is a temple. Your spirit is fed through purposeful nourishment, not gluttony, not avoidance, not numbing, not temporary happiness. It's fed through purposeful nourishment. And that's it. Wow. The timing is crazy. That was exactly an hour. That was crazy, huh? I have a really good tendency to be on time. So, yeah. Thank God. But I know this was so much, guys. I know I threw like a huge zoomed out version of this. So that's why I'm going to ask in the Discord or ask you guys later, like 101, which part stood out to you. And then I'll branch off and talk about that. Because relationship with food, obviously, there's so many parts, right? We just talked about like even gut, brain axis, and all this other science stuff. And then I brought it back into God. So like I zoomed out though, because that's the best way that I can figure out what works best for you guys. So that way we can zoom in and funnel, you know? Any feedback? Did anything hit? I'm sure something hit.
It all hits for sure. It's a lot as usual, but you're nailing it. I mean, some of it you're like, I'm like, like we all joke. It's like, stop talking about me. Why are you targeting me? But like, like,
Get out of my head.
yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Did any part specifically hit though? Like, did anything just like off the top of your head?
Will I ever be able to give up French fries?
Mm,
That's like,
yeah.
I know I shouldn't eat them. I don't eat them like I used to, but I still indulge, once a
Sure.
week because I don't eat them every single day, and it's a
Yeah.
very small portion of it. But like at the same time, I'm like, here I go again.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
there's a lot in my head. I justify it because I'm like, I'm doing so good. It's not gonna make me. I'm not crashing out because I'm eating them. You know what I mean? It's like it's more so like uh just like a craving that I could eat it in a different form, but like I
mhm.
don't know. It's like the one thing like that's like I can kick all this other shit, but like it's just certain things like that. It's like, well, if I could still have them like on a rare occasion, like I feel good about it, and then I like, check it off in my head. I'm like, all right, that's done for a while. Don't need to do that for a while,
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah, like I said, dude, it's
That's
all
just
the
one thing.
yeah, it's all the amount of strength you assign that story. And again, if there's not a ton of shame that's assigned to that, or you're not feeling super guilty or you're doing it out of gluttony just for the sake of eating, then that's good. But if you are doing the opposite of that, that's where it becomes like, well, to what end? You know what I mean? So that's what I would say. Because I have the same thing with ice cream, dude. Like I haven't had ice cream this week, but like if I buy a pint, I'm having a little bit every day. I'm not
Well, that's
gonna
what I mean. Like, so
be
like
glut.
little things like that. Like I had like two small bites of ice cream yesterday just because like I had a smidge bit of macros I was trying to hit on my calories and fat still. And I'm like, well, I could take care of this in a healthier way, but like two bites of this is gonna like really make my mental feel good for the night. And
Yeah,
I just did it, but like
there you go.
if it wasn't in within range of what where I'm supposed to be, I won't do it. But
Mhm.
there's times where like I think about it like fuck, I want a milkshake or
Hmm.
I want that bacon cheeseburger tonight, but
Yeah,
like we don't need to, like I don't
right.
have to. It's just like the other part of me that's like, and again, for anybody who's listening, I came off of like eating junk food every day and like eating French fries and burgers basically day in, day out. So um, it used to be my thing. So
Yeah.
the whole drive-throughs and all that.
Well, you've shifted a lot, dude. I mean, you've grown a lot just being in the program.
But
Good.
there's a lot of good stuff in here for sure. As
Yeah,
always.
it's good, dude. I'm happy for you. Beautiful. Randy, how's
Yeah, I was just gonna say my ice cream I keep in the freezer across the street
that?
at the church.
Good.
That's a
That's
really good
good. So you
idea
have to
if you
like,
got that option.
yeah, you get some steps while you're going to walk. You get it? That's funny. I would do the same. I would do the same.
I had bought some ice cream for something, and of course they didn't want to keep it, so I was like, okay, what do I do with this? So then I put it across the street at the church,
Mhm.
in the church's freezer. Like, okay.
That's fair. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, definitely a good way to set aside. all of that because
Yep. So it's over there. It's out of sight. It's out of mind. It's like,
yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
But if I really get this urge, then at least
And that's what I'm saying.
I gotta walk to get to it.
Yeah, whatever you're avoiding, you're allowing to control you. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's why it comes back down to like, well, what's stopping you from having a like half a serving or a quarter of a serving every day if you really feel called to it? As long as you like
I'm no longer called to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Got it. But is it a craving?
No.
Okay. That's fair. Okay. As long as it's not a craving, I mean, that's... Can you have it without feeling shameful?
Yeah.
Okay. It's good.
The other thing, like that you talked about, is like even being at the grocery store, like even the shopping, like buying the stuff is like your first mistake if you're buying it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even go down the aisles anymore that I used to go down, which is crazy, which is like more than half the store because
Yeah,
those aisles don't even really have anything that we should be eating anyway
no,
to begin with. So like
they don't.
as long as I don't put it in the house, I'm not tempted.
Correct. Yes.
And I don't really
I go down the aisles just to get my steps in.
I'll park at the end of the parking lot for sure and walk the extra.
I do too.
I do that on purpose. I'm not gonna lie. Like I
That's
will
funny.
walk the whole long way through the store just for that. If I, but yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. That's why I order my groceries because I just like copy paste, order the same shit from last week. I'm good. I don't gotta walk. I'll get my steps in otherwise, and I don't gotta think about it. It's not like I'll be tempted or anything, but it's just the time.
I do struggle with the repetitiveness of like chicken and rice over and over again.
Yeah. Same
So
here, dude.
like we had chicken last night, but Kayla made it in a different way. So like it tasted different and it felt like a whole different meal than our normal
Nice.
chicken and rice that I make, you know? So like
Nice.
that helps spice things up, I guess, too.
Nice. Good job,
But
Kayla.
if you're making the same chicken breast with the same seasoning, you know, weeks on end, days on end, months on end, it becomes a little bit like, fuck, this is very, I mean, you either turn into like a robot, like how you said, like with just
Mhm.
eating, and you're just feeling, and you're not obviously not eating for like extreme taste,
You're right.
but there's still a way to eat healthy and still have
Good
taste and good taste and a variety, I guess.
Yeah. Healthy doesn't have to be boring, for sure. Yeah, I'm glad Kayla introduced you to a good way to. I do a lot of different ways. You can marinate. You can do seasonings. I do a lot of wet ingredients on chicken so it doesn't get like dry as hell because having dry chicken is not fun. But switch your proteins, dude. Salmon, beef, fish, lamb, bison, steak, stuff like that. Just switch it up. Helps. Did anyone else have some revelation? Stefan, Jeff, Ernesto, Zach, Kayla? We'd love to hear before we go.
I'll have to review it again because I did have some, but I kind of didn't want to interrupt. Well, I know you said to write it, but I don't like to interrupt. So
No, you're
I kind
good,
of
dude.
forgot. Yeah.
Oh, you need to like watch it again, the recording, or?
Yeah, I'll have to watch it again.
Sure. Yeah, I said a lot.
Yeah.
It was very jam packed. I spent like a lot of hours on it yesterday, but
Oh.
yeah, watch the recording and then let me know.
So you say sometime by the end of this week?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm there. Yeah.
I heard you talking about my caffeine addiction. There was my revelation.
Yeah, I drink halfway through my matcha in the middle of this. I was like, I'm gonna need a little bit of energy, so I did like a half serving of matcha just because I was like, yeah, especially if I'm ready to power through this and have conviction when I'm talking.
Yep.
Anything else?
One.
I mean, I think just caffeine. Yeah, no. I think just the fact that like now that I'm paying so much attention to what I'm eating, like making sure I'm not going into like disordered thought, because before I wasn't tracking it, so I was just like, this feels good, you know. But now like I guess I second guess every little thing. So I want to make sure that I'm not
That's
going
fair.
down that road. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. I will tell you that. It's a different routine going into tracking food compared to when you were just like, oh, this feels good.
I was just going off vibes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But we'll go back to that. That's what I was trying to say earlier is macros isn't going to be forever. We'll put you through an intuitive eating phase. Because
Yes.
I know women especially want to go through an intuitive eating phase just to vibe and live life.
Yeah.
But first, let's hang around on the other end of the teeter-totter and just build a good relationship with food, and then notice all the awareness that the tracking is bringing you.
Yeah.
And work through the things before we go back, because when we go back, old habits pop up really fast. You know what I mean?
No, I know. I just need to make sure I'm not like how you said, food's not the enemy. It's a way to nourish my body. So I just have to look at it that way.
Yeah, correct. And it's all the strength that you give in the story, or whatever story around what specific foods. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
I'm glad. Zach, I saw you were going to say something. Did you have anything, brother?
I'm drinking my diluted coffee right now. Tastes like McDonald's coffee.
Tastes like bean water. It's literally just
pretty much.
I've had that, dude. That's why I add a splash of like stevia or some milk or like almond milk, whatever. Give it some taste, because it tastes like McDonald's coffee.
Yeah, I have sweet and low.
That's fair. That'll work for now. Yeah. Did anything else from the presentation hit for you?
You made me hungry.
Okay. That's good. That's good, because you don't eat, dude.
I don't.
That's good. Get some healthy and protein in and just have a whole meal.
I had tuna salad.
That'll work for now. Yeah. That's some decent protein. Did you make it?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple cans of tuna.
Nice. How many cans of tuna?
I use 2 cans of tuna, but I eat twice a night.
I heard 12. I was like, dude, that's nuts.
No,
12 cans of tuna.
No, that's too much.
A lot of fish. You'd hit your protein for the day for sure.
I definitely would.
But did anything else hit with the mindset, like healing your relationship with food and just kind of going off of everything that we talked about? Or do you need to watch the recording as well?
I'll probably have to watch the recording. I was working and listening at the same time.
Yeah, I kind of assume some people are just treating it as a podcast. So I'm like, okay, that's fine as long as you listen. Some people need to listen to this a couple times because there's a lot. I go into depth on these calls. This is your first call, right? Your first group call, or not your first group call, but your first presentation call.
First presentation, yeah, first one.
Yeah. We'll do these bi-weekly. So that's how it works. Bi-weekly, I do these. But Ash's call is next week. It should be next week. Her monthly call. But yeah, I do these bi-weekly and try and talk about something that everyone is going through. So I'll post this and then I'll see what you guys liked from the video, and then we can branch out and talk about whatever that topic decides to be. So
fair enough.
Yeah. Jeff, did you have anything, brother?
It was a good call. Definitely a lot to digest per usual. It's just more like what stood out to me is like really figuring out like where your relationship with food comes from, because even though like in your case how you talked about how your mom was how it affected you. I mean, I think for a lot of people like that might be the same case, but it might just be one of those suppressed memories that you don't necessarily want to talk about, don't want to think about, kind of thing. And then like what Nick was talking about, allowing yourself to have like certain foods and not feel bad about it per se, and just kind of just stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's important to talk about, dude. I mean, I didn't realize mine came from my mom until I started like coaching. Honestly, I started helping people with their relationship with food. I was like, dang, mine came from my mom. I didn't realize that. So it can be a culmination of people too, like a culture or your friends or school, even like, or work. It just wherever you spend the most time with, or whoever you spend the most time with is usually a good place to start, and then like that question in the journal said, just what can you receive from that person, if there is a person, that would help you heal your relationship with food, or like go through that. But it's a good talk to have if you ever figure that out for yourself. Can always talk about it later. Beautiful. Cool, guys. I know we're a bit over, 15 minutes over, so I'll let y'all go. Go have some dinner. Enjoy your night. Stefan.
Sorry, I was gonna say, I did remember something.
Yeah.
Two things. I know I have the issue try and be perfect on most of my stuff. So that's something I work on. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought this tracking thing was forever. I thought it was supposed to be a new lifestyle. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
My
Well,
bad.
there's seasons for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna teach you intuitive eating after we go through a full reverse and do the whole dieting after this diet.
Yeah.
Because you've gotten really lean. So I want to make sure you keep off all the weight that we've lost, and then teach you intuitive eating after that, you know? So it's just a process though. But yeah, some people go through like an intuitive eating phase, and that's a season.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, I'm working 16s tonight, so I know we have our meeting tomorrow. If for some reason I'm not there, I slept through all my fucking alarms.
Okay, let me see. Tomorrow we at
Should be
2
2 o'clock for you, 3 for me.
Yeah. I got 5 open if you want to do 5. My time. 6 your time. I think you're at work though, huh?
I'd be in the parking lot at work.
Okay. I mean, we'll try for 2. If we need to move it to 5, we will.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you need to sleep more than anyone, brother. Cool, guys. Go have some dinner, or if you ate dinner, go get some sleep. Whatever. Go get some rest. Give your body what it needs,
Mike.
and then I'll talk to y'all later. Of course, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Mike. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.